Yes, it's everybody's favorite time of the day once again. Welcome to Satoshi's Bitcoin Chart Show. This is the Bitcoin forecast, the strength of the system, the health of the network, where we find out what's up with what is going down. Today's date is Sunday, the 21st of September, 2025, the year BSV comes alive. Branch your threads, expand your mind with treechat.ai, all your posts put on chain. Right, let's get into it.
Satoshi, like a cowboy in the West, riding on the blockchain that they call the very best. 1 million strong, them transactions flying free. Just wait for the Terra node, you'll surely see.
Alrighty, so this is a chart show for Bruce, a person of significant interest, who has just been asking me about Bitcoin. So I'm just going to do the usual thing, go over the figures, go over the fundamental figures, and just explain things in slightly more detail for a relative sort of Bitcoin newbie, and we'll see how it goes. Right, so this website here is a website called CoinDance, and it compares the various Bitcoin forks. So you can see on here we've got BTC, BCH, EXC, and BSV. Now, BTC is what we call a Greg coin on this channel, because BTC is not Bitcoin, and the reason we call it Greg coin is because of this. So this is your mysterious creator of Greg coin, is Greg Maxwell, and the term Greg coin was coined on the 29th of July 2015 in an email exchange between Mike Hearn and Greg Maxwell. And in the email, Mike Hearn wrote, "Look, it's clear that you've decided that the way Bitcoin was meant to scale, or was meant to evolve, isn't to your personal liking. That's fine. Go make an altcoin where your founding documents state that it is intended to always run on a 2015 Raspberry Pi or whatever it is you mean by small device. Then when someone says, gee, it'd be nice if we had some more capacity, you can go and point out the announcing emails and say, no, GregCoin is meant to always be verifiable on small devices. That's our social contract and is written into the consensus rules for that reason. And that's why it's called GregCoin." But also you can see here that if you follow it along, we've got genuine Bitcoin at $26. And the reason it's a genuine Bitcoin is because it still carries the #1 legacy address, and it's the only chain of signatures and protocol that goes right the way back to the Genesis block that hasn't changed, making it the real Bitcoin, the true Bitcoin, the genuine Bitcoin, and the world's first and only ever digital commodity, backed by the value of data sovereignty, making it the most valuable commodity on earth because it's an extension of our own personal freedoms and liberties. So you can see here that the address is changed on BTC from #1 to #3 and the letters BC on the 24th of August 2017, which indicates a change in the wallet address and therefore a change in the code and ultimately a change in the protocol, which means they've created an altcoin because it now no longer carries the #1 legacy address. It's just simply not Bitcoin. And we can see here that this article was actually written on the 24th of August 2020. And it was a confirm analysis, the SegWit transaction. And they wrote here on August 24th, 2017, an update, well, it wasn't an update, it was a hard fork, of the Bitcoin protocol called SegWit, Segregated Witness, which removed the digital signatures from the transaction data, had its first transaction in block number 481824. They said Peter Wolf finished his work on SegWit because he was working on it from about 2012, I think it was. But he finished it in 2015, and 2 years later his work gave the potential possibility of modifying the signed transactions to the Bitcoin protocol. This is mainly why the effective block size is increased without having to increase the Bitcoin block size limit. Well, you can't increase the block size without increasing the block size limit. It's absolutely ridiculous. They've removed a fundamental bit of data is what they've done, but they're trying to rephrase it. So they said, thanks to downloading the signature data from the Bitcoin transactions. So they're literally downloading the signature, which is the only way to lay claim on a transaction, which gives the transaction contractual credibility and therefore economic value. And they're downloading them onto their own private service, meaning if they wanted to, they could literally reassign blame. They've got complete control of the network. They can do whatever they want, make any alterations they like, and there is no signature to let them know that anybody has done it. They've got complete carte blanche control of it. That's it. So they said here the digital signatures can take up to 65% of the block. So in other words, 65% of a standard transaction. In practice, this allows more transactions to be stored in one block, thereby increasing the throughput of the entire network. They said digital cryptography signatures, which take up all the most space, are kicked off the block, and the size does not count towards SegWit compatible block size, with the added benefit that it supports the creation of a second layer protocol such as the Lightning Web. Well, again, second layers are not economically competitive, and they are a centrally controlled creation. And the digital signature attached to the transaction is the only way to lay claim on it. So you remove the transaction, you remove all economic value. But they're not going to tell you that, are they? But they said here, when we take a look at the first SegWit transaction in the transaction hash is there, you will find an encoded sentence in hexadecimal format. After decrypting the message, it states BitBank Incorporated, Japan supports SegWit. Confirms analysis using our AML and analysis platform shows the address beginning with 3DTK. Is the first address ever that sent Bitcoin to a SegWit address. This SegWit address to which the funds were sent is owned by BitBank, and we assume that the 3DK address is also related to the BitBank due to the various aspects, including the fact that the transaction consisted of a message proclaiming BitBank support for SegWit. So again, you're using a number 3 address and is sending to a BC address. You're now no longer using the number 1. And you've got no signature on the transaction. It's literally economically worthless. The signature and a digital signature is even more is actually more secure than a wet ink signature, because it tells you when, where, and who has signed it. And certainly with it being on blockchain, it can't be deleted, which proves when and where it was signed and who signed it. But again, it makes it private. But without that transaction, there is no way of proving you made that transaction, no way of laying a claim on it, no way of having any contractual credibility, and therefore zero economic value. That's what they've done, but they just didn't tell you that. They've twisted it another way to make it sound like it's for your benefit when it's not at all. So anyway, let's have a look at these figures here. So we've got $26. Now these figures here, we've got hash rate, nodes, transactions, and block size. So the block size is the amount of data being uploaded onto the network. The data is uploaded via the transactions, which carry the payment with it. The nodes are what create blocks and supply the hash rate and process transactions. And the hash rate is the amount of hashing power that is put onto the network that enables you to potentially win a block. So that is attracted to the value, which is meant to be representative of the price. But the price is currently speculative because people don't know what it is yet, because there is no utility on the network. So it can be manipulated by those who control the currency printers. But it's like this when you look at the network. So block size and transactions are sanity. Network nodes and hash rate are vanity, because you do not need network nodes or hash rate if you haven't got the block size or the transactions. So where block size and transactions are, network nodes, hash rate, and price will follow. It's that simple. So you've got a coin over here that's $26 that has got 64% of the entire transaction volume on its network in comparison to all these Bitcoin forks, and 89% of the block size. It's crazy, absolutely crazy when you understand what you're looking at. So hash rate, we can have a look at the difficulty adjustment here. So the difficulty adjustment either increases or decreases depending on how much hash rate is on the network. And the more hash rate there is, the more difficult the network has to be to find the block in order to make sure that you have a consistent 10-minute block time, 10-minute block window. But also the increase in the difficulty makes it more expensive to mine. So miners obviously want to make it cheaper, but at this rate, we're literally looking at historical all-time highs here. So miners are going to be absolutely screaming that they're not making enough money, because you're only getting $300,000 per block, whereas really you need millions in order to sustain an ever-increasing mining operation, which is what is going to be required. When the Bitcoin network actually starts growing because of genuine fundamental utility, and the world starts using it as the first commoditized digital network, where data cannot be cracked, altered, changed, or deleted, and for the first time we have a digital network that is not susceptible to cybersecurity hacks or virus software. But this is not, they don't want you to know that. They don't want you to know that. So anyway, that's the difficulty adjustment there. The network nodes. So the network nodes are the mining facilities. These are they for anybody who hasn't seen a mining node before. Absolutely phenomenal. This is the backbone to the new global financial system, the world's first ever commercial commoditized digital network designed for commercial use cases. I mean, it just blows my mind every time. Some of these mining operations are just absolutely staggering. Literally absolutely staggering. Blows my mind every time. I will never get tired of saying that. Never get tired of saying that. So the network knows that they're the ones who create blocks, supply the hash rate, and process transactions. We've got the transactions here representing 64.33. So we'll have a look at the overall transactions here. Look at this. So this pie chart here represents the entire crypto market. And you can see that Ethereum, with a $500 billion market cap, $500 billion is worth, with 1.4 million transactions. XRP 677, but BSV Genuine Bitcoin 776, and that's ahead of Gregcoin with only 473. So literally, you've got a coin here at $26 that has literally got the second highest utility on the entire crypto market, in second place to Ethereum, representing 21.4% of the entire market. And yes, it's just $26. The figures just simply don't sync together. So it just simply means that there is blatant manipulation going on in the market. That's pretty much all it is in a nutshell, to be honest. So we can just cross-reference those transactions here with what's on chain, which is the block explorer for Genuine Bitcoin, BSV. So we've got 791,956 transactions over the last 24 hours. And we can just simply have a look at the mining here. We'll get to that in just a minute, because you'll see that CoinDance are not actually showing the figures for that as they should. So let's have a look at some of the blocks coming through here, block sizes. Oh, look at this. It's all right. That's 67 megabytes, so there's going to be more data in that one block over in Bitcoin than there is in the entire column of Gregcoin. And Gregcoin can't even get all of their blocks over 1 megabyte. Look, 204 kilobytes, 30 kilobytes. They can't even get all their blocks over 1 megabyte, let alone 67 megabytes. And we've got 67, 53, 29, 23, 93, almost 100 megabyte block, although we've had gigabyte blocks. But for anybody new, they might be going, whoa, hold on a minute, this is absolutely insane. 35 megabytes, 46. So yeah, you know, it's crazy when you realize the figure, when you understand the figures that you're looking at. Let's just enlarge this. So this is the hash rate. So hash rate follows price, follows value, follows utility, follows creativity, initiative, and intelligence. If you are intelligent and you apply creativity and initiative, you can make something useful. If something is useful, it can then create value. When it creates value, it can then develop a price. When it develops a price, it can then be measured against the cost of other goods and services in the economy and used as a medium of exchange. If something is useful, it's valuable. If something is useless, it's worthless. You really don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure it out. It's that simple. So this is proof of work by network since the 1st of August 2017 when the first chain split took place. So again, they've labeled these wrong because the name, the title Bitcoin should be on the original protocol with the #1 legacy address over here, but they obviously don't want you to know that, which is why they're misguiding you and misleading you with graphs like this. But look at this. It is 37,000 times cheaper to transact on Bitcoin than Gregcoin. Oh, look at this. It's actually 5.8% more profitable to mine on Bitcoin than Gregcoin. We'll take that any day of the week. For the last like 5 or 6 years, it's been about 30-40% more profitable to mine on Gregcoin. But this means because the profitability is being carefully managed, that the gate is now open, ready for the horse to bolt. That's what this means. We're now inviting the miners to come over and say, look, it's actually 5.8% more profitable. So they should be coming over in dribs and drabs, going, oh, hold on a minute, there's a bit of an arbitrage opportunity here. So we can get 5.8% more profitable if we mine on genuine Bitcoin. Let's just move a little bit of the hash rate over there. But they're that stupid, they probably won't do it. So let's just enlarge this again. So this is daily average Bitcoin block size by network. So again, genuine Bitcoin in red here, and this is on a log curve. So you can see how much bigger the block sizes are on this. I mean, look at that, absolutely massive. On a log curve, that would be through the roof. Daily Bitcoin transactions by network. So again, there's even more transactions on genuine Bitcoin than there is on Gradecoin. You know, let alone block size. I mean, jeepers. Daily Bitcoin transactions per block by network, much of a muchness. Daily average Bitcoin fees, USD. So this is cost per transaction. So it's right down here. So sub-cent fees on genuine Bitcoin here. This is fees Satoshi. So look on the log curve, absolutely smashing these shitcoins up here. It is, and yet look how cheap it is to transact on the network, and yet it is 5.8% more profitable to mine on it. And yet Core would have you believe, oh yeah, well, you need slow and expensive transactions in order to sustain the miners. Well, we've got cheap as chips transactions over here, and it's still more profitable to mine on Gradecoin. So daily Bitcoin fee to block reward ratio, what you need to do is just keep an eye on the red line here. So this red spike here just gave an example of when 400 genuine Bitcoin were produced in one block because the transactions went through the roof. So what will happen is this red line will slow. Well, actually, it'll probably start to massively accelerate. And when that happens, and it becomes more profitable to mine on the network, that's when the other miners come charging over like a herd of wild wildebeest. Daily accumulated Bitcoin blockchain growth by network, as Satoshi Nakamoto said, it is strictly necessary that the longest chain is always considered the valid one. And you can see the longest chain here, the one with the most data on it, on this log curve. It would take Gradecoin over 1,000 years to try and grow this much with a 1 megabyte block size. It's never going to happen. And that's if genuine Bitcoin stopped growing today. They would never do it. They'd never do it. But when Satoshi Nakamoto says it's strictly necessary, the longest chain is always considered the valid one. It's right here in front of your face. That's Bitcoin law. It's in red, and that's BSV, genuine Bitcoin. So this is global hash rate 7 days, global hash rate 24 hours. Gradecoin hash rate, so other miners is 6.94. I believe that it's other miners that's carefully managing the profitability of the networks. Other miners 11.81 on Bcrash. Other miners 54.17 on Fisher Price Cash. And again, CoinDance not really reporting the figures. So we'll just close these. Difficulty adjustment on genuine Bitcoin. Hash rate. Nodes. Here we go. This is the mining. So this is what that pie chart on CoinDance should look like. You've got Tau with 38.4, SA100 13.85, mining Dutch 12.31. They've gone up quite a bit. QD-Link 12.31, Kuv 12.31, and Gorilla Pool 10.77. So 6 miners on there, looking quite good, really. Crypto Quant. So this is the exchanges reserve. So all exchanges. So this is not the market. This is purely exchanges. The exchanges reserves. Now the exchanges use their reserves for client liquidity and also for their own profits. So whenever they've got and whenever they're holding a Gradecoin, they're holding it for supposedly the increase in its value for their own benefit, but at the same time they're accumulating more because it's the most liquid coin on the market. So they hold that so that any of their customers who want to sort of liquidate any of their shitcoins whatsoever, what they would do is they put the order in, they would fulfill the order or turn that into BTC, and then they would liquidate the BTC and then give the shitcoin trader their money in fiat currency. So really, the exchanges reserves in purple should be going up and up and up, but the fact is they're not. So even though the price is going up and up and up here in black, the exchanges reserves are going down and down and down. It's a completely opposite correlation. This should correlate with it, but it hasn't been doing it literally since like 2022 and beyond. It literally be going down and down and down and down and down, literally almost like dropping off a cliff. They know something that the market doesn't. Like mom and pop investors, if they saw this, would be like, whoa, what are we doing buying and accumulating when the exchanges are dumping? That's what's really going on, and you can see it here. So these are the fundamental figures under the bonnet that nobody else ever looks at or sees. Right, and let's have a look at the market cap of the Tether. Look at that. So where's it gone today? 171.5 to 100. So another $500 million. They've literally printed $500 million in a blink of an eye, in a split second, and pumped it into the market in order to keep their scam going. So in the week, it's gone from 170.2 to 172.0. So like $2 billion. $2 billion in a week. $2 billion in 7 days. And what's that in a month? 167. So like $5 billion. $5 billion in a month is what they're pumping in. And look at this. Look at that. It started off with a market cap of just $250,000. No, $250,000. And now we're at 172 billion. A billion being 1,000 million. So we're 172,000 million pumped in. And you wonder why this market has got any price tag whatsoever. Because none of those shitcoins do anything. They're not being used in daily life for nothing. They do nothing. They can't do anything because they're on centrally controlled networks. Or they're ERC20 tokens on centrally controlled networks. Absolutely insane. But what is interesting is the market cap of Money. So Money is a stable coin built on BSV, which is the world's first secure digital network. The world's most secure, most efficient, most cost-effective digital network. And secure being the main one here. But look at that. They're starting to realize $66 million. So steady on the week. Oh, look at that in the steady on the day. But what's this in the week? 162 to 166. That's $4 million in the week. That's brilliant for Money, considering it's literally just started. Literally just started. Phenomenal stuff. All right, let's have a look at the long position. So again, the green line here kind of like represents how confident the market is, because the market placing longs on the value of BTC going up. So the long ratio is 0.396. This will be one of the very first graphs to literally take a nosedive when the market starts to turn, because it's the longs that represent the confidence in Gregcoin. So literally the moment the market starts to get shaky, you'll see this literally tank overnight. But it's interesting to look at. So you've got longs here, and then you've got the price chart in blue, and then you've got the short positions down here. The short positions will start to stack up the moment the market gets a whiff of any shenanigans that have gone on. Yeah. This is a Coin Codex, so this just simply shows you the what's meant to be the 24-hour trade volume of genuine Bitcoin across all these exchanges. I'm not sure how accurate they actually are. Because when I go onto the exchanges, they're sometimes different. But you can see these are all the exchanges that do list genuine Bitcoin. So I've got Upbit here, and they've got just $836 million worth of 24-hour trade volume. Now, bearing in mind that OKX just simply delisted this the other day, just before the announcement of the first installation of Terranode. And Upbit's volume, I've seen this from sort of 17 million, and now it's below 1 million. So it just sort of makes me think, sort of wash trading on something that's going on. But it's going on across all exchanges. We've got Huobi here, 24-hour trade volume, 2.6 million. Yeah, still relatively tiny, but even if you're taking 2 or 3% of 2.6 million. That's literally money for nothing that OKX were getting, and they decided that they would delist it. For what reason? You're throwing away 2.6% of a 2 million 24-hour trade volume. And for what reason? Oh, what, you just don't like it? It's absolutely ridiculous. Especially with these crypto trades that are just simply open 24/7, that are automated. It's literally money for nothing. There is no reason that any exchange would delist any of shitcoin, really. Gate.io. So I just saw this lot advertised on the Red Bull Racing team in quite a prominent position. I thought Gate.io was a relatively sort of small exchange, and yet here they are sponsoring Formula One, going on Max Verstappen's car. And they've only got 24-hour trade volume of BSV of 206,000, but they are a supporter of genuine Bitcoin because they know the truth. But still, it's still interesting. MEXC is an interesting one. Oh, looks like we've just had a green candle here on their exchange out from nowhere. But there was a crazy amount. Look at this. Look at this that happened the other day. Look. This is artificial price suppression, and then the price boosts out. And they're like, oh, no, I have to bring it back down again. But this is interesting. Look at that. That will be traders trading. They were like, oh, yep, take advantage of that little dip. Nice one. In we go. Strong green candle. Up like that. Yeah, there's also the green candle showing on Orange X. They have a 24-hour turnover in genuine Bitcoin of 1.1 million. Let's have a look at DXS app and compare the two. So we've got Gregcoin versus Bitcoin. Yeah, so again, Bitcoin just being artificially suppressed after the delist BSV campaigns in 2019, where the cabal stole all the genuine Bitcoin from the largest exchanges customers, which were Bitfinex, Kraken, Coinbase, Bittrex, and Binance. It's crazy, but this just compares Gregcoin to genuine Bitcoin on price. Historic lows here. Historic lows. Let's have a look on Orange Gateway. Orange Gateway, yep, just picking up that as well. On USD. Let's just compare that to BTC. Oh. Nice little uptick there against the big dog, but nothing to write home about as of yet. Right, let's have a look at the Satoshi Observer. So look at this. We've got BTC at a price of $115,000. They've got an average transaction fee of 82 cents, so like almost $1. But they've only got 6 transactions per second. And bearing in mind, it's meant to be a peer-to-peer electronic cash system that was launched at the beginning of 2009. And we're now 2025. So literally 16 years and what? It's only got 6 transactions per second. What a joke. But then we've got genuine Bitcoin over here, just $25. And look at the transaction fee. So it's so low, it's not even recorded. So that would be 10th, 100th, 1,000th, 10,000ths of a cent. So lower than 10,000ths of a cent per transaction. And there is 10 transactions per second on the network. 10. Almost double what's over on Gregcoin. And then BCH, again, which is 20x the price of genuine Bitcoin over here, $596. And again, the average transaction fee 0.7 of a cent. But again, like what point? It's going to take one transaction every sort of 3 to 4 seconds. There's just nothing on any of these networks when you realize what you're looking at here. And we've got a price here of $25. Carrying the #1 legacy address with the only chain of signatures that goes right the way back to the Genesis block, remaining as an untampered with protocol. The genuine Bitcoin. It's crazy. So we've got an overall market cap of $3.9 trillion. Gregcoin here, $115,000. Not really too much to write home about there. But one thing I do have to point out here is look at this. So the 24-hour trade volume of most healthy market items is around 5%, whereas Gregcoin has just got a 24-hour trade volume of 0.813. It's not even 1%. So that means you would only need 0.81% of the market to change its mind, and the entire market is wiped out. Literally, there is nothing there. People have no idea how thin is the ice that they're skating on. They're like, oh, $2.3 trillion market cap. Oh, there's no way that a $2.3 trillion market could disappear. Well, when that $2.3 trillion market has only got a 24-hour trade volume of $18 billion, bearing in mind that Satoshi Nakamoto himself is worth hundreds of billions of dollars, and you only need 18 billion to literally wipe the market out, only representing 0.81% of the market, there's literally nothing there. It's a ghost chain is what we're looking at. It's literally all hot air. There is nothing there. Nothing there. Whereas compare that to, and look at the market. Look, people say, oh, it's not manipulated. Look at this. Look, the shitcoins literally are all the same. They're probably managed. They're probably each section, either like section of 20 and then 20 to 30, 30 to 40, like managed by the same deep state cabal market managers, is what I suspect. Look, you can't argue. They're so similar. It's absolutely ridiculous. But we're just trying to find genuine Bitcoin here. Look, it's ranked number 96, and yet it's got 86% of the block size across the Bitcoin forks, and it's second in utility behind Ethereum on the entire crypto market, and yet it's buried down at number 96 at just $25. It's absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. And if we look at this, look, trade volume, that's quite healthy. 7.2%. Oh, sorry. Trade volume, that's 1.4%. So still all not that good, but better than Grapecoin. Trade volume 7.2 million. That's literally nothing. Market cap $500 million. Absolutely nothing. Nothing. Volume. So again, I'm not sure if this volume is correct. That's Huobi, CoinDCX, an Indian exchange. Sediction. I think that's in the British Virgin Islands. But the most important one is the liquidity. So these are the exchanges that are holding the liquidity. So if you want to actually remove your coins from the exchanges, which is what you should be doing the moment you've bought them, these are the exchanges that you need to go on in order to withdraw them. But you'll find that they're often saying, oh, the wallet is under maintenance, or you require sort of 234 confirmations before we release the coins. It's just absolutely ridiculous what's going on. But still the liquidity is becoming more spread around. So it's very interesting. Anyway, that's a 32-minute show. Yep, we'll leave it there. Hope you enjoyed it. So as ever, be aware, take care, stay safe out there, and we'll see you in the next one.
The king still has one more move.